back for episode 11 of Quantum Alchemists. I am your host, Mr. Alchemistic, but you can call me B. And I'm joined by my gracious co host, Mr. Quantum himself, Alex Romero-Vengian.
What's up, everybody? What's up, B? How you doing?
Good man, just wearing my infinite mask here in honor of my latest painting, the Infinite Mask, which
I see
incorporates
the man of many masks.
incorporates a lot of alchemical and astrological symbols. We got the sun and
That
the
thing
moon
looks
here,
sick.
the sun and the moon here, signifying the alchemical wedding, the marriage of light and dark. We've got the 12 constellations of the zodiac here around, the 12 symbols on the mask, the infinity sign, which we all know, the third eye. So a lot of stuff to pack into this very symbolic painting. And
That thing looks sick, bro. I like it.
I fucking love it, dude. I fell in love with it. And we were talking in the pre-talk. My buddy actually wants to buy it and gave me a deposit on it. And like the more I look at it, the more I'm like, I can't fucking sell this thing. I'm a fucking terrible businessman as an artist. Like I get so attached to my paintings and then I don't want to get rid of them. And then I finally get a hit on somebody that wants to buy one. And I'm like, you know what? I don't give
Yeah.
a man.
Something like that, bro. Something like that. I was working with these artists out of Texas. The collective is called Save the Artist. And that right there, bro, would go for an easy, like, I want to say maybe 5 grand, right? If they put that, you put that up on a, well, that's probably a little smaller, so maybe like 2,500. If that was a little bit bigger, maybe 5 grand, but 2,500 for something like that, framed and as an original. Otherwise, you can get prints for like, 150, $200, stuff like that. That I could see, but as an original, I don't know, dude. That thing
Yeah.
looks pretty raw.
I'm pretty fucking stoked on it. I already made a t-shirt on Alchemystic Apparel. You can also pick up Lulu here, another one of my favorites.
Oh, you made a t-shirt of that one right there?
Of this one, yeah, the Infinite Mask. There's already a t-shirt of it on alchemisticapparel.com. The link is in the bio if you guys want to get the t-shirt. But dude, this is going to be one of the
Dope.
cornerstones of my designs. I already put it in my tarot deck. It replaced my magician card, so the mask is now the magician in my tarot deck. This thing is, I think I hit a home run with this one. It's really
Yeah.
powerful. Just, I mean, it looks really cool on video, but you see it in picture in person, man. This thing is like sacred. Like it's like a piece of my soul is in this thing, and it's looking at me.
It
I'll tell
looks
you,
like it. It looks really rad, man. Congratulations.
yeah, man. It's not. I can't really take full credit for it, man. Like the way my process works is, I start with like a base design, and my buddy that ended up wants to buy it kind of gave me like the idea for the base design, which was he wanted a cross and a diamond, right? So you see right here, the cross here comes across the sun, which is also symbolic for Christ, right? The cross and the sun, Son of God and the cross, right on the cross. And then the diamond shape, I did the cross in the diamond shape. And then I was looking at the diamond. I was like, what if I rounded that off and made it into like a face, like a mask? And then it was like poof, here comes all this inspiration. And I call it it's source inspiration. I feel like God speaks to me through my art, and and I kind of got this little message like paint my face. So that's my interpretation of God's face. It's the sun and the moon with the infinity, the infinite mask is why I call it that. And I wrote a poem about it as well that I wrote here on the back of the painting here. I got it here. I notarized it
Oh, dope.
with my
Made it
signature and
official.
my little symbol, and then I wrote the poem over here. The poem is time is the infinite mask, unfolding his every task, but prying away the night and the day, discovering truth everlast. So yeah, man, I really got
Tell
inspired.
me about that. Tell me about that poem. Where'd you come up with that?
I just honestly, dude, I've talked about this in past episodes. My methods, like I'm a channel of divine energy, and I just kind of step out of the way and just let things flow. That's how I create. I'll go for like a week or two without creating, writing, or painting anything, and then I'll get into this mode where like I feel something coming, and then I kind of just meditate on it, and it just comes, and then I'll just start writing, and the meaning of the poem is really like time's the infinite mask, right? Like time is an illusion, and time is God's mask, and if you pry away that mask, you find the infinite, which time is an illusion, and what's really exists is eternity, the infinite, which is God. And so these are all symbols of time, right? The zodiac is the 12 symbols here, which signify the yearly cycle, right? And then the sun and the moon signify the daily cycle. And if you look, the rays of the sun, they cross over the moon, because the moon or the sun enlightens the moon, right? But they don't cross over the eyes. They go behind the eyes because the infinite is in front of the sun and the moon and the whole process. It's all the infinite, the symbolism of it. And then I have all the constellations of each zodiac here on the outside. They corresponds with the symbol that's on the mask. So yeah, that's
That's
kind of
wild.
it in a nutshell. I hide all these little symbolisms inside the painting. And like I said, the sun and the moon is alchemical symbology of the unity of light and dark, the masculine and feminine. The sun signifies the masculine, and the moon signifies the feminine. Obviously, the sun is light, the moon is dark, which also can, you look at the third eye. Third eye is part of the alchemical wedding in the body, is the opening of the pineal gland, which is part of the Kundalini awakening. And these are all just different symbols. We've talked about this in the past, and it's really about enlightening the magic within you, which brings me to another part that I wanted to share with you guys. When you're on this path, you're delving into the occult, right? The which is hidden. It's another word for hidden, the occult truths, the hidden truths, and it has been demonized. The occult has been demonized by mainstream religions and ideologies as evil, because in the scriptures it talks about how sorcery is evil, right? So the church has taken upon itself to demonize everything occult, and it has to do with magic, because they demonize it all as sorcery, or under that heading. They've grouped all this stuff, magic, all together under this demonic heading, and it's a misunderstanding. It's a misinterpretation. And Manly P. Hall, we talked about his book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, in I think episode 3. If you guys want to go back and watch that episode, it's very enlightening for those of you who want to learn more about this stuff. But the teachings of Freemasonry and all these esoteric schools of secret societies and stuff like that, the secret knowledge of humanity, it's all locked within stuff like alchemy and the Kundalini, and Hinduism has its chakra system. And we've talked about this ad nauseum at this point, about how all these things tie together in this puzzle of truth, which is occult. It's hidden. And Manly P. Hall goes into very in-depth explanation of the difference between sorcery and actual like light magic, if you want to call it white magic and black magic. And it's really pertinent, and I want to share it because I don't want people to misunderstand what we're trying to promote here as quantum alchemists, and I don't want people to misunderstand what alchemy actually is. So this quote is very hits home. Um, so the quote goes, these apparently impossible feats are accomplished by the devotees first throwing their minds into a state of ecstasis. The practical value of these various demonstrations may be questioned, but the sincerity of those who practice them is unquestioned. The occultist attempting to perfect his spiritual nature does not want to fall back into the negative practices of primitive sorcery. There is abundant proof of many primitive methods of working magic in all parts of the world. Metaphysics is intended to produce philosophers. Many modern metaphysical organizations are practicing sorcery and do not know it. A sorcerer is a person who attempts by some special art to divert the forces of nature to his own personal ends. All forced growth is sorcery. Any individual trying to dominate his environment without rising above it is a sorcerer. People who attempt to use religious exercises for monetary gain, to lift mortgages, or get rid of undesired relatives are sorcerers. The true purpose of metaphysics is to perfect the inner self in wisdom, virtue, and understanding, and any other use of metaphysical power is likely to result in black magic. The black magician may enjoy a temporary material success, but he is making a heavy karma that will have to be paid in future lives in terms of misery and suffering. And that's Manly P. Hall from Self Unfoldment by Disciplines of Realization. Um, that's a very powerful statement, and it's a very strong explanation of the difference, right? If you're using energy work and rituals and these different things with the idea of self gain, of trying to or using it to benefit yourself at the detriment to others. This is by definition black magic. This is sorcery, and this is what the Bible has demonized, right, as evil, as the work of the dark. Um, Practical magic, alchemy, is about self-realization. It's about the utilization of energy work to bring about the pure self, the enlightened self, the evolved self, and that is the difference. It's the purity of intention. We talked about intention a couple episodes ago. The intention behind the act is is what differentiates pure white magic from black magic sorcery. And so your intention, this is really important, guys, as you get into this, because it's very easy to get captured by the shadow when you start delving into the occult. It's a dangerous practice if you aren't pure of intention and heart. Um, Alex and I have pure intention with what we are trying to work into this world, the energy we're trying to bring in to this being through our intention is to better humanity. That is our ultimate goal. It's not to enrich ourselves. It's not to become,
Right.
fabulously rich and famous and influential to the detriment of others.
Yeah.
It's to elevate humanity as a whole. That's the goal because we recognize that we are just one of
Right.
a many pieces of the whole. We are
But
one.
I do want to chime into that on one thing, and that is the fact that some people would be like, "Oh, well, that's easy to say because you guys are going to capitalize on that stuff." Like, well, yeah, like the point is, yes, there is going to be some sort of capital gain that comes from the work that we get that we're putting in, but the work that we're putting in, it's done to help out the masses. Yes, the byproduct of helping others is going to be that we're going to help ourselves, but that's our compensation for doing the work that no one else wanted to do because the pay was shitty and the hours were long and no one wanted to show up, and that's okay. Like we picked up the slack where others didn't, and that's why I feel like it's okay to say, yeah, you know what, we put in a shitload of work behind the scenes to be able to deliver this type of information and knowledge and understanding to you guys, and we do deserve to get paid out at some point.
Well, I came across a video of this woman talking about the angelic mind, right, of the human, like when you're in an angelic mind, when you're coming from an angelic place. And I'll put it at the very end of the episode. It's very powerful, and she goes into a very similar type of explanation of the of manifestation. Like if you sit around and say, "I want to manifest a Ferrari," that's sorcery, right? It's like I'm just gonna manifest a Ferrari, or manifest I want to go to Tahiti or whatever. Like it's personal gain, right? The way to properly manifest is to manifest something beneficial that will bring about the rewards of a Ferrari eventually, right? And and it's like you have to go. Like I said, it's about intention, about coming out with a purity of heart. And I'll divert back to the story of Solomon. Got the key of Solomon right here. The story of Solomon from the Bible, right? Solomon was the heir to the throne of Israel as David's son, and he found favor with God, so God gave him the genie's wish. So he told Solomon, "I'll give you anything that your heart desires." And Solomon, knowing he was the heir to the throne, he was going to be king. He wanted to be a good king, so he told God, "I want wisdom," and which that choice pleased God. And he said, "Because you chose wisdom, you will have." the desires, every desire of your heart as well. Because you didn't choose fame or you didn't choose money, you didn't choose women, you chose wisdom, you will get all these other things as well. And that was a story early in my life as coming up through the Lutheran church and studying biblical stories. That story always stuck with me. And it told me that wisdom is the key that opens all doors. Now, from my own personal journey, this is my intention at the time, right? I was a young man and I was very impressionable, and I saw it as, oh, well, I want wisdom too because it gives me all this other stuff, right? So I was like, God, I want wisdom.
It's a hack. It's a hack to the matrix.
Oh yeah, no, sure, God, sure. I want wisdom too, like, so God's like, all right, buddy, but because you're not pure of heart, you're gonna have to go the fucking hard way. And I've lived a fucking pretty grindy life as a result. And I mean, I'm sitting here right now with the Key of Solomon. I can tell you right now that the wisdom has been bestowed, but it came at a price of sacrifice and having to prove over and over through passing tests and different things in my life, going through very serious trials of almost dying, massive amounts of physical and emotional pain, um, poverty and lack, and really I had to come about it the hard way. I wasn't the heir to the throne of Israel, so it wasn't just bestowed upon me, you know. And because I came at it from that intention, right? And that just goes back to intention. I was coming at it from a sorcerer's mindset of, oh, I want it for personal gain. Give me wisdom, God. And so I had to learn the hard way that that's not how it goes. And this is why this is so important. It's something I wanted to really touch upon before we really get into the brass tacks of what we want to talk about today. Is um is I have been initiated through hardship and a lot of toil and pain and suffering. Um, and because I came about it the wrong way. And this is a time right now where people are awakening to this spiritual knowledge. It's the lifting of the veil, right? We're coming into this great time of shift. Trump just got elected, which I feel a lot of people, this is something I said on my Instagram, because I had said in the past episodes when we were talking about the election that I wanted Trump to win. And it wasn't because I'm a huge Trump fan, right? It's because what I see from the left is I see a lot of empaths and alchemists who have been subdued by that ideology, and they're trapped in it because of their social ideals are they're mystified by the political party that is the left, because the left promises them these things, these social ideals and this big utopia, right? But they never deliver. It's all they say it just to get elected. So there's a lot of people on the left that are captured by that, and I feel by Trump winning, I'm hoping that people will stop putting their power in the system. We talked about this, taking your power back. Stop putting your power in the system and expecting it to deliver the results that you desire. You have to find it
You
within
know,
yourself.
I'm gonna chime in on that just because I think the problem in that community is, if we're supposed to be if we're supposed to be as spiritual leaders, right? The middle ground, the almost like think of it like the Switzerland, right? Of all this ideology stuff. The problem is that they chose sides, right? Instead of remaining neutral, they chose sides and they became invested in the result of that thing, which is where you talk about them giving it power, right? Instead of being like, well, you know what, regardless of whatever happens, we know that our creator and our greater power is going to be here to help us carry us through whatever that time is. They instead allowed the results to affect them in a personal way where like they should have never been committed or in any way committed to that result. So anyway, that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, I talked a little bit about it last episode. I've seen a lot of supposedly spiritual people, right? Who have tied their power into this election are like really mad, like, oh, I'm gonna do a bunch of rituals and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. That's black magic. Like you're not, you're in the shadow. The shadows capture you, right? So any of these spiritualists who are overly pissed off about Trump winning are probably in the shadow. You're probably practicing black magic and you may not even know it. Like Manly P. Hall was saying, a lot of people are practicing sorcery and black magic without even realizing it because they've had this awakening and now it's taken them. But the shadow, at some point, this is why you have to be so careful with this shit, guys, with the occult, is like, because there is a lot of shadow elements within the occult. And a lot of the people that are at the top of the pyramid, a lot of those people
Right.
are sorcerers. And
You know
the
what?
world's run.
I'm gonna tap. I was gonna tap into one other thing about this, and that is there's a reason why when you say bad words, they call it cursing. They curse you. I curse you. You know,
Yeah,
it's because you're saying something with intent, and you intentionally want something bad to happen to somebody, and that is, my friend, black magic.
it's the evil eye, right? Without even knowing it. And they've convinced a lot of people to become unknown sorcerers. And a lot of people are casting spells against themselves. This is
Yeah.
something we've talked about over and over, self-talk. You've
when when
casted
when you
spells
say
over.
when you say things like I'm an idiot or I'm an asshole or I'm stupid or all these things, you are actually doing it to yourself. Just
You're
so right.
and you're blaspheming the Most High because you are a piece of God. This is I Ike Legacy is this preacher. He's a black preacher that talks a lot about manifestation and energy work, and he's a Christian preacher, but he's like I would almost say he's like a Christian mystic, but he's like very flamboyant and flashy, and he's like really like charismatic and he talks about this stuff like words like and spells and like we don't understand like because this is the problem I have with the ideology of Christianity is it's coming from a state of ignorance and just and not understanding, right? The whole ideology has been structured as a gatekeeper of knowledge, and they've misconstrued and then they've demonized things that they shouldn't have demonized. And it's the shadow has captured the ideology, right? So the shadow is taking you away from the things you need to be looking at, which is walking the path, the true path of Christ, which is a mystic path. It is an alchemical path that opens your third eye. It says in Matthew, if thine eye be single, your whole body shall be full of light. So interpret that. What does that mean? If thine eye be single, then your whole body shall be full of light. Um, there's a
Yeah,
lot of stuff.
you know what another problem is, Brandon B, is that people have been programmed over time to think things like, yeah, you mean that the things that I say actually hold power? Yeah, right. Okay, whatever. And like, and we've taken things and just and removed the weight from them. And over time, like somewhere along the lines, people stopped actually understanding, like, no, no, no. You don't like this is really effing serious. Like whatever you say is super duper important. And then whatever it's like going back to that whole statement of, is it safe to assume that the things that we do are the things that we believe versus the things that we say, right? So like you could say things and then what you do contradicts what you say, right? But then this is just a reflection of how disconnected you are from your own reality, right? If you're doing things that contradicts the things that you say, that's one thing. Two is by you actually saying things that are not for your greater good or for to uplift you or to be a positive influence or role in not just your life but those around you, you are deliberately bringing yourself down, and you are actually putting yourself down. Um, and again, like V is saying, without you even knowing it.
Yeah, it's unconscious spell work. I mean, there's a reason why they call spelling. Look into the history of the English language. It's a witch language. And there's a lot of look into it. Just look into it. English is a witch language, and there's full of spell words and just there's a lot. It's a very deep rabbit hole. I don't want to go too far into it, but look it up and look into it. There's a lot of power in our words. The life and death is found in the tongue. There's another biblical quote, right? And the Bible is full of this type of stuff that's telling you, it's cluing you into how this stuff really works, how this reality really works. And I think through the literal interpretation by the church of a lot of these things, you've lost the allegorical meaning. You've lost the subtleties of what it's really telling you. And the Bible's full of astrology too. And if you want to really look at it, the 12 zodiacs are the 12 disciples, right? That's another part of this whole scenario that I put it cooked
Or
into
the
this
12,
thing,
or the 12 tribes,
right? It's
or the 12 tribes.
we got the Christ here, the Son, the Son of God, the Christ on the cross with the 12 disciples, the 12 zodiac symbols. It goes deep, guys, and you can't be a surface level dweller and really find these truths. You really have to look deeper at what is really out there. And part of the mystification, I don't think that's a word, but part of the way you've been mystified to
Mystification.
mystification. There's a good. I think that's probably right. Part of that is keeping you surface level. That's part of what the this construct, this matrix has done to us, is to keep us surface level, keep us on those lower chakras, like I pointed out in I think episode 3 when I was showing you my board game and the tree of life and the chakra system that's on it. Um, it's keeping you low in your lower base desires, food, fuck, sleep, repeat, and don't look, don't ever rise, don't ever open your heart and rise up to fill your eye with light. um so that's what it's designed to do, and this is part of what we're doing here, is trying to enlighten you to these truths, because it's so important, especially at this day and age where the veil is lifting, consciousness is shifting, and we're all feeling this thing that's going on. It's happening in our bodies, it's happening in the cosmos, and we're on the precipice of some major changes in the human species, in this world, in this reality. The
Yeah.
5D is coming online, and you watch a lot of spiritual people like Dolores Cannon, I believe, was talking about the splitting of the realities, right? Um,
Yeah.
we're having a split, right? There's going to be the people that ascend and the people that get left behind. And the people that get left behind, you're going to find yourself in a reality that's very fear driven. And we're already kind of, you've
Black.
seen this. It's very fear driven. A lot of this stuff, like the stuff with Trump, a lot of people are very fearful. And I talked about this, like the shadow feeds on fear. The devil, if you want to call him that, the devil, the darkness feeds on your fear, right? Whereas the light is trying to shine love upon you. And so anything that puts you in a state of fear, that's shadow. And I have a friend of mine who's, I talked about them non-binary, right? I talked about how this person was confiding in me about their community, the LGBTQ community, and how there's the gatekeepers and there's a certain standard you have to live up to, and it's just like an ideology. It's become an ideology, and this person was sharing a lot of this stuff that's like fear-driven Trump fear stuff, like, oh, this guy that he nominated for the Secretary of Defense has this Jerusalem cross, and he's got some kind of deus, some kind of Latin phrase, and that's alt right. That's been adopted by the alt right. He's a Nazi, and then some other video of this woman talking about some dude that came into a coffee shop and was like intimidating a girl and saying, "Oh, when January comes around, it's fair game on all of you. Like there's gonna be like rapings in the street because of Trump." And it's just like fear driven bullshit. It's just nonsense, man. Like,
Notice,
yeah,
notice, notice that like for 4 years we haven't heard shit about Antifa. All of a sudden, all of a sudden it's resurfacing out of nowhere.
it's all fear driven bullshit, man. It's all to keep people in fear. And like, say if Kamala had won, somebody that is a Trump follower that is a friend of mine would be sending me stuff about some girl getting raped by a trans person in a woman's bathroom, right? And saying, "Oh, this is because Kamala won." It's you see how it's a fucking reflection of itself, right? It's just all fear driven. It's all about, oh,
Yeah.
fear the other side. Oh no, here come the trans people. Oh no, here come the Nazis. Get scared. And it's like,
What are we gonna do?
and this person, I love this person to death. They're but one of the few people from LA that actually still talks to me. It's like all my friends from LA have fucking completely ghosted me, except for you and maybe one or two other people. I haven't heard for anybody. I've been out here 2 months, and it's like I'm a fucking ghost. So this person's still talking to me, and I love them to death because obviously they care about me, and they're trying to get me to understand their perspective of why they don't want Trump. And I understand. I trust me, I understand. But like people have given they've given him so much power, right? With this all this fear that they're giving him, like they're so afraid. That's power you're giving away to Trump, right? And he's not even going to do half the stuff you think he's going to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's going to empower the chads and the chodes and the fucking assholes that are doing a victory lap because Trump won. Yes, it's going to empower a lot of fucking dipshits, but so would Kamala's win, right? The dipshits on the opposite side would have been doing their own fucking thing, thinking that they could, the people who are say they're trans but aren't really trans and they're just being trans to rape girls in the bathroom would be doing like just come to some
So
place of
this all goes
sanity, man.
back to this all goes this all goes back to just that's all black magic, right? And that's all intended to pull you away from the bigger picture, which is it doesn't matter, it doesn't really matter at this point which side won, because either way it's over. We're not going to change the results. Like we're not going to turn back time. We're not going to change the clock, right? So all we could do at this point is understand that we knew what was coming. It was going to be one or the other, and whatever it is, it is. We have to pick up the pieces, put them back together, and keep moving forward, right? Because
Well, take
other
your
than
power
that,
away from
you're
that
just going to
shit. Like,
remain broken. Just like
stop
right,
putting fear and energy into this stuff oh, what if this happens? Oh, what if Trump's Secretary of Defense is a Nazi? Take your fucking power out of that shit and put it into you. Put it into your
right,
self love. Put it into
right,
becoming the best
right.
version of you, right? And put it into your own life and make your own life grow. And then try to get to a point where you can help others. And like that's how the system, the matrix captures you and keeps you down in that lower vibrational state of like, poor me, I can't do
Yeah,
anything. Look at this. There's Nazis
yeah.
everywhere, or there's trans people who want
You
to
want to
rape
do
my
something?
daughter.
I'll tell you what y'all could do right now. And this is something that I've taken upon myself. I'm not saying you have to do what I did, but if you really care and you want to get involved, start getting involved in your local city council stuff. Start getting involved in your localized level of government and start getting involved with the things that are happening there. Because I can tell you from my point of view, I'm actually working with a bunch of people out of Huntington Beach who right now are actually actively fighting against the what they call the tyrannical and oppressive government of California, which is Gavin Newsom's, radical fucking government, and they're rebelling and basically trying to nullify any of the laws that are coming from the capital of Sacramento, California, to nullify their legitimacy at the local town, at the local city level, because the cities have the opportunity to participate or not in the federal government's shenanigans. And one of the things that they're doing, which is how I got involved, is they want to create what they call a township liberation innovation fund, where like the local businesses can pool their resources together to take care of their local community's needs and not need to accept federal dollars for their city's needs, so that this can disconnect them from that commitment of, oh well, we have to answer to you because you fund us. They're like, fuck that, we don't want your money anymore, we'll take care of our own city stuff, you take your people out of here and we'll run our own city. How about them apples? You like apples? How about them apples? And
That's beautiful.
that's what we're working on right now. But like it takes a lot more involvement, it takes participation. Like instead of ripping your hair out and screaming, like no, go participate, go get active in your local city council and your towns and where you are at your local government, and start voicing your opinion and start voicing your concerns and start getting with people that are actually doing something, instead of just adding more confusion and more noise to the noise, because it's plenty of noise. Trust me, we get it. We just need solutions, not more problems. What's your solution?
No, that's incredible, man. That's part of what needs to be done in this country as a whole is decentralization of, the federal government has built itself up as this purveyor of power over everything else, and it's taken away a lot of states' rights, which originally, when this place was founded, It was founded with states' rights in mind, with a small federal government overseeing it. Like the federal government wasn't supposed to have this much power. The federal government didn't do an income tax. You know, all these things that we see as federal as government power, you know, that we give our power to every election, you know, this big monstrosity that is our federal government that has gotten us into trillions of dollars of debt and has misused our money and has misused power and has gotten us into wars and has done all this stuff that we don't like this big monolith that is our federal government was never supposed to be this way. It was
Yeah,
supposed to be states' rights, which is, you know, people think that the Civil War was over slavery. It wasn't. It was about states' rights, and people have gotten mystified by this misconception of history that it was all about slavery. No, it was about the rights of the states. The southern states rebelled because the federal government was taking more power, right? And they lost. And that's why we've gotten to this point where the federal government has so much power over the states, and it shouldn't be that way. The states need to take care of their own, and then at a micro level, the cities like Huntington Beach can also do their own thing. And we need to decentralize
right,
from this big overarching power of the federal government that it shouldn't have. We need to, and that's
right.
one of the things I like about what Trump is proposing. I don't know if he's going to pull it off and do it, but cutting the government budget with people like Elon and Vivek Ramaswamy, you know, they're looking to cut this government spending, cut this big giant fucking bureaucracy that is literally siphoning off our money. It's siphoning your money. And one of the proposals of like using tariffs over the income tax, I feel could change everybody's life. If you don't have to pay an income tax, that's going to change your life. That could be something that's
Yeah.
powerful that could change your life. And this is what's lost in all of the media hysterics is like the
There was
proposals, right? And
yeah,
this is how they show their hand, right? The media shows their hand that they're a puppet for the system politics that have taken over by demonizing people like Elon
right.
Musk, you know,
So
and
many years ago, I used to work for a Caribbean food importer and exporter. Shout out to Patrick Chaffong and the Chaffong family. Um, and you know, I learned a lot working there actually. I got to be like the right hand of the owner of the company, and he actually opened my eyes to something that I didn't think about. At the time I met him, I was like 19 years old, so I was still very much young. Um, and uh, and he says to me, he's like, this stimulus stuff makes absolutely no sense. He says, trickle down economics clearly never has worked. So what he was saying is, eliminating income tax from people's income and just charging duties and taxes at the time at the checkout counter. He goes, that would incentivize people to go out and first of all go and make more money, right? Because they're not going to be taxed on it. And secondly, everything would be taxed properly because now you're just paying taxes on the things you consume, and so that would create trickle up economics if you give the money to the people. But having given the money to corporations to then trickle down to the people was, I think, one of the greatest mistakes of modern day times when it comes to bailing out the people. Supposedly, that was not a people bailout; that was a corporate bailout.
oh no, they always hide their true intentions behind good intentions, right? That's how a lot of these bills on Capitol Hill work. They put a flowery name on it like school help, and then it's like you look down the bill and all this money's going off into bureaucracy's pockets,
Mhm.
and there's really
Right.
not that much for school, right? It's a fucking it's a magic trick. It's a
Mhm.
magic trick. All of it.
Look over
And
here. Don't look over here.
yeah, it's a woozle, it's a wazzle. Yeah, it's how they mystify you with bullshit. And the whole bureaucracy is all a big fucking fraud. And I'm hopeful that these things get taken care of. Now, like I said, I'm not a Trumper. I don't have he didn't do a whole lot his first 4 years. He did some stuff, but like um, he trusted a lot of really shady fucking neo.
I love that.
Oopsie. universe said we were talking too much about politics, so yeah, it's time to move on. But just to sum it up, guys, stop giving your power to stop giving your power to politics. Stop staying in a state of fear because that's exactly what the shadow wants from you. Find the light within yourself, and with the pure heart of intention, we will all come together in the end, and it will all work out. You just gotta trust wisdom of Solomon.
It's interesting that you said find the light within yourself because that kind of touches upon something that I wanted to talk about a little bit was there was this interview recently I saw, that I sent you the link to this guy named Jack Kruse, and he was on this podcast talking about, man, he was talking about so much stuff, dude. It's the light
Bro,
within. He's a heart surgeon, or he's a brain surgeon.
neurosurgeon. He's a brain surgeon, neurosurgeon. Really
Yeah.
fascinating guy. Tied up a whole bunch of like conspiracy rabbit holes,
Yeah.
from the polio vaccine to the JFK assassination to the big pharma stuff to just he was just knocking bombs out the park for like 3 solid hours, and then he went into his own practice and his own experiences, of being a neurosurgeon. And that stuff was fascinating too. But he did talk about, the blue lights of the screens,
Yep.
how it destroys our dopamine receptors, and
Yep.
basically is it's engineered for addiction. The blue lights on your phones and on your computers, which explains the social media obsession of the day and just the technological stranglehold that it has over us. And he was talking about, yeah, our cells create light. We literally are light creators. In our DNA, there's light photons that are created within our cells, and it just kind of speaks to the fact that we are made of star stuff, right? You look at the compilation, the construction of our bodies, at a particle level. We are made of the same things as stars, and we're made of the stuff of the universe. And you really get into quantum physics, and then you dive deep into science, and you dive deep into mysticism and all these different things. They all kind of come across these paths all lead to the same place.
And then when you listen to the things that he talks about and the way that he ties all these events in history to like a specific group of people or characters or however like you want to see it, then you fast forward from like back then to now and you're like, oh, so that's how we got here.
Mhm.
And and then you're like, and then you see, oh, this is where it can go, right? So this is a lot of the stuff that like I'm doing behind the scenes, that B's helping me out with behind the scenes, that a few other people that we're working with behind the scenes, like a lot, like granted I didn't know to like the extreme level that Jack Cruz goes into, which I'll make sure that we add the link to that video in the description. And I think that we're gonna just breeze on over this one because like it is so compact with specific details that I think it's important to go over that timeline with
Mhm.
our viewers. If and kind of just like for those that stumble upon us, like we should definitely talk about this stuff because I think it's very relevant to how we got here, where we are, and where
Where
we're
we're
going.
going. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a 4 hour long podcast, so it's very long. We could do a whole podcast just about that. I think we're going to do that maybe next episode, really get into this Jack Cruz interview, because it is very, like you go on this video and you read the comments, right? And the comments are like, holy fuck, I've been putting all this stuff together and he already did it. He's literally got 30 years of just rabbit hole that he ties all together.
And him being at ground zero for a lot of it too, because
Yeah,
a
he
lot
has
of it was
firsthand
happening right
knowledge,
around him.
firsthand knowledge of people that were involved in the Kennedy, like the whole Kennedy situation, and it's really fascinating. It's really good, and he's a very, very intelligent man. A lot of people will go, "Oh, it's tinfoil conspiracy," but it's like, no, this dude was literally on the front lines, and he was accumulating knowledge and putting together all this stuff. And from black ops, like CIA type stuff, to the mob, to the
Yeah,
pharmaceutical industry. he just tied
Cat,
all this
no.
stuff together in this beautiful bow, and it was really powerful for me. I've kind of gotten out of the conspiracy world. I was in it for decades, and I kind of got out of it. But that was just man. He literally covered all these things. He just tied together so many things that are prevalent, and so it's worth looking into very extensively. I think the blue light stuff was really
Yeah,
telling. Just
yeah.
his knowledge
That's,
of
that's,
the knowledge his knowledge of the brain, right? The neuroscience. Like this is a
yeah.
neurosurgeon. This is a guy who operates on brains, and he knows how the human brain works, and he understands the dopamine receptors in your brain and how this shit was engineered to put you in basically a trance state of addiction. And he talks about how the early Las Vegas, the casinos were putting out blue light because they knew this stuff. Like they did hardcore psychological
Research.
research on the
Yep,
human brain and the human
yep.
behaviors, and it's really fascinating. Talks about MK Ultra. It's really good. So we'll do
Oh,
a whole episode on that. But yeah, it was fascinating. I loved it, dude. I'm really happy you sent me that because I was able to send it to a couple other friends of mine who are in the same boat that could really benefit from his knowledge. I feel like it's
funny.
should be.
It
What's
was
up?
funny is I actually got that link from a good friend of mine, and he sent me that probably about a few weeks back. And like people like don't understand, he sent me this link and I saw it was 4 hours long. I was like, oh shit. I'm like, okay. I'm like, when I see that, I'm like, bro, I'm like, how good could this possibly be? That I would need to clear out my schedule, and I got a bunch of stuff going on to clear a 4 hour window to watch this. So it literally took me like 2 or 3 weeks to first of all clear out my mind enough so I I could absorb new information, because I'm constantly being bombarded with new stuff and new inputs daily from just people around me, phone calls, emails, like videos. So 4 hour long video, that's a lot of commitment for me to sit down and watch through, right? And so finally, like I told B, like my I had corrupted my hard drive, not long ago, and so I had to back everything up. Which, by the way, I was able to back up a lot of those videos from. I started creating that Templar video I want to do an audiobook on, so I was able to save all of those. So I'm super happy. I'm like, yeah. So I'll be able to finish putting that audiobook up here pretty soon. I just got to finish recording the rest of that. But anyway, so I was able to back up my hard drive, and then while I'm doing that stuff, and then I'm reinstalling the operating system. I mean, I've done it a million times at this point now from all the OSs I've destroyed with virtual machines on the computer. Anyway, nerd talk. But the whole point is that during that process, I put that video on. I was like, screw it, I'm gonna be here for a while. I might as well just do something. So I put that video on, and within 3 minutes, I was like, oh damn! I said I need to take notes.
Yeah.
So I grabbed
You're like,
I grabbed one of my
I can't have this as background. I need to focus on it. Yeah, he's hammered, man. I couldn't believe like how many bombs he dropped. I could not fucking believe he just was just dropping bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb and tying this stuff together. And it was just like, holy shit, dude, this dude figured everything out. He figured it all out.
yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking powerful. So
So
anyway,
meanwhile, we got like 6 pages worth of notes on this stuff. I just don't want to go like looking for it right now because we're gonna do an episode on it anyway. So I'll save my notes
you know,
for that. But
speaking of
yeah,
dopamine,
it's intense.
while you guys are getting your dopamine fix off your screens, here's some dopamine from a dog. Here's a dog. The dopamine from a
Hey!
dog. Hey dog. Hi. Yeah, you're a dog.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious. Beautiful.
Dude, that dog is like my fucking
Nice
shadow.
little cameo
Every night she sleeps with me.
everywhere you are.
Dude, I've been having
That's
like gut
dope.
problems lately. I think I have a parasite or something. I just got some black walnut and wormwood. If you guys have gut problems, you might have parasites. Go to your local vitamin shop, get some black walnut and wormwood. But I've been having trouble sleeping. So I was sleeping late this morning. I slept till like 10:30, and she comes in. She'll sleep with me throughout the night, but she'll get up when my mom gets up at like 8. And then she came in at like 10:30 because she always wants her walk in the morning. Like it's one of the things that she has to have. She doesn't get her walk. Like she starts pacing and following us and looking at us and wagging her tail. Like when's my walk coming? So she came in and fucking flopped next to me and then laid her head on my hip, which she normally keeps her own space, but like she was literally like, "Bro, get the fuck out of bed, dude. I need my fucking walk." So yeah, she's been great for me out here in Georgia. She's my little pal,
Nice.
my little shadow. Huh. Yeah,
Really cool.
yeah, she's a good
Well,
dog.
while we're having a little segue, is some cool updates for the viewers. In the process of setting up online store, so that'll be ready to go pretty soon on the Quantum website. We're gonna be adding all the descriptions into the yeah, down there below, you know. And if you guys already haven't liked and subscribed, do that thing too.
Yeah, like, share,
For
and subscribe. We were talking about Sarah earlier, and she wants to get involved in the podcast. Have her help us promote, man. We need help with promotion, guys. If you like this podcast, you're watching this, if you're a regular watcher, show it to your friends. If you're getting something out of it, maybe you got some friends that'll you get something out
maybe
of it.
they
Let's
need
get
the message.
yeah, get
Maybe
these
they
get
need the
this stuff
message.
out here. We're putting out powerful messages, powerful podcasts every day. Every day we do one of these, and we watch rewatch. We're like, man, that was a great episode. It's like literally we're dropping bombs too, man. Week after week, we're putting out really quality shit, and I believe in this 100%. I love this podcast. It's an outlet for Alex and I to kind of try to make our difference in the world, and we feel like, guys, we're having a few dozen people, an episode. I know we have regular viewers. Like, please like, share, subscribe. Get the word out there that we're doing this, because I feel like our messages need to reach more ears. There's a lot of people that need these messages.
Even
Um,
for you trolls out there that want to make memes, go for it. I don't care.
I don't think we do anything troll worthy. Or like, I think we're pretty stand up dudes. I don't think we're putting
I
our
hear
foot
you,
in our
but there's a
mouth.
few out there. There's a few
Yeah,
out there.
I don't think we're putting our foot in our mouth too much, though, man. I think, especially looking at where the country voted, right? We talked about the purple people, right? The
Oh,
purple people last episode, and the pendulum back and forth. There's a lot of people that are seeing what we're seeing, and I'm really proud of those political episodes, because literally all the things that you and I talked about in the lead up episodes, right? Right before it happened, where I predicted that Trump was going to win. I told you why the left was in trouble. And I literally like went down the list of all the problems with the left. Now, in the aftermath, literally, like, there's all these articles talking about the same fucking shit. Like, we were literally
yeah,
had our
but
pulse.
here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. Like, yes, we've been vindicated, right? And like us being vindicated, like those who are watching, bro, they know we called that shit. We don't need to be ramming down the throats like we told you so. Like I don't want to do that. I don't because
No,
because that's not the message I want to put out, and that's why I asked you, and I don't want to be talking about a lot of politics. We've
no,
already
I think we're
lived
done with
that
it.
part out. Yeah,
Let's sweep
I
away the
I
politics.
apologize. I apologize. I'm just like the reason why I'm saying this now is because honestly, like I get a lot of downloads too and stuff like that. One of the messages I got was specifically to not do that. And
Oh
so,
no, like, I'm not doing a victory lap or saying I told you so. I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of people that see what we see, and maybe they're not on the level of understanding we're at, but they're on the cusp. Like, there's a lot of people on the cusp, like this. We've been talking about this shift in consciousness. It's happening. It is happening right
yeah,
now.
that is
And
happening.
rather than losing them to the right wing ideology, right? Like, because the pendulum swings, right, and it grabs attention. And there's people coming out of the left, and they're like, we don't want this leftist shit. And instead of them going to the right, like, let's catch them here on the middle path. Like, that's where we're at. We're on the middle path. That's the Buddhist path, right? The middle path. The middle way is the mystic way, right? It's walking the razor's edge between two fanatical, crazy ideologies.
Yeah,
And
the path is narrow. The path is narrow.
it's very narrow, and it's very easy to get sidetracked, which is what we were talking about, the stuff with Manly P. Hall earlier, where he's trying to kind of warn people about the occult. Like, it's very easy to get captured back into the shadow, because we're literally a ray of light surrounded by shadow, right? And when you come to the light, it pierces the shadow and pushes it away. But it's this very narrow path where, like, you can easily get curtailed back into the shadow, because that's what the shadow's there to do. It's constantly testing us, testing our metal, testing our intentions, testing our hearts.
Yeah. Do
Because,
you
oh,
really believe all that shit you be talking?
yeah,
Do
and
you
it's
really believe it? Because because you say something, but what you do, is it not, is it easier to assume that what you do is what you believe and not what you say? You know, which
Yeah.
one is it?
So purple people, let's keep walking this razor's edge. Don't get sidetracked by this ideology or that. We're all in this together. And I hope that, we're coming out of this phase of the last about decade of division and fear-based media and people have rejected it, right? Like that's why the alternate media is so popular right now, like the Joe Rogans and whatnot. That is because people are looking for an alternative to the corporate structure, the corporate message of system politics and system this and system that. People are tired of that shit. But there's also the Matrix sponsored version of the truth over here that's trying to suck you in as well, right? And that's another thing. That's something that we're trying to warn against, right? Is like don't get sucked over into the Matrix sponsored version of truth. There is truth here on this fucking razor's edge that we're walking, and we're trying to get people to come to this place of understanding. Um, don't get sidetracked by your ego or the shadow. It's really easy to fall into it and fall into the traps of division. And um, it's that's why it's important that we're doing what we're doing. And if you guys resonate with our message, please get it out to people. Please share it. We need to grow this because what Alex is doing, the work that he's getting ready to unleash on this world, is something that can help this middle path, right? It can help this razor's edge that we're walking to expand it so we're not tipping back and forth. It's a solid ground we're trying to create here of decentralization, of self empowerment, and offering alternatives to the way we've been doing things that aren't working, which is the whole reason why Trump got elected in the first place, is because the system is dying. And I said that last episode. The system's dying and it's in its death throes, and it's going to do everything it can to keep you in the state of fear so that you don't come to the state of love and realize the great opportunity we're being offered of freedom and change and real change, real impactful change, which is where we're at astrologically. You look at the astrology of the time, where we're coming into the age of Aquarius, and we're coming into a great age of knowing. Like that's what the age of Aquarius is. It's the age of knowing. It's not the age of belief anymore. It's going to be the age of knowing, where the veil is ripped off, and we see each other, we see ourselves, and it's a very powerful place and a very powerful shift that's coming, and we want to help guide people into it because we already see it. That's why we were able to put our finger on the pulse and predict all this stuff. It's not because I'm a fucking fortune teller, although I am a gypsy. It's because of being tapped in, of understanding
Are you a
intuition.
gypsy?
What's that? What'd you say?
Are you a gypsy?
I absolutely am.
I just tried to say in a foreign voice. Are you a gypsy? I did. I failed miserably.
But that's pretty much where we're at right
Yeah,
now, guys. Is we're coming out of this
yeah.
crazy election, and we just don't want you to lose
The
hope.
cool
If
thing,
you're
the
on,
cool and the good news is, the good news is, yes, we don't want you to lose hope, like B is saying right now. And thankfully, there's a couple things going on in the background. I don't want to put my foot in my mouth and say too much too soon, but there's a very good chance that the quantum network is going to going up live in a matter of a few short weeks. I've been working in the background, getting my paperwork and stuff, figured out with my company, and so I could be able to do all this stuff. And so things are coming together quite nicely. And what's going to end up happening is we're going to be taking these podcasts here pretty soon, and we're going to be chopping them up and putting clips out onto YouTube, and you guys can come and watch, the podcasts in the network if you guys want to come in and become part of the tribe. Then you guys can come in and see the full episodes there. And you'll also be able to have direct contact with us and have access to our marketplace with all of our partners and all of the people that we're collaborating with. And everything that we've been talking about is going to come to life in a few short weeks when I get that network back up and running. So super excited about that.
It's a very exciting time. Bitcoin is going through the roof, which bodes well for other cryptos, especially Alex's system. The quantum network is going to be crypto based and launching a whole new platform for creators and even just people interacting. It's going to be a huge opportunity for humanity, and there's a lot of exciting things on the forefront of that. And we're looking forward to, which is what we started this podcast to kind of promote this, and to kind of give you, this has kind of been the gateway, right? This is, we're at the gates of a really exciting time in human history, and utilizing technology as a tool rather than as letting it use us, and it's a lot of really exciting stuff. So that's something to look forward to. We are really pushing into a new frontier here, and it's going to be game changing. We're going to change the game, and we've been talking about this, and it's not just talk. We aren't just chatting, right? We're actually putting action to the words, and we're going to make some stuff happen. And it
It's
looks like we're going to
it's
be.
not sorcery. It doesn't happen overnight. There's a lot of work that goes into it, which is what makes it magic, you know?
No, we're not doing candle circles and incantations and trying to get spirits to work for us, because we don't need that go between. And that's another thing I want to talk about too, is like you're a direct line to source. Everybody is, right? And part of where the shadow grabs you is when you're trying to utilize these in go between spirits and stuff like that. And you don't need that shit. That's
You
just
don't need
that's a
brokers. You don't need
that's
brokers or intermediaries.
that's a substitute for your relationship with the creator, which is within your temple. You activate your temple and you will have a direct line. You don't need to.
Imagine having to ask yourself for permission if you had to go use the bathroom every time.
Yeah, it's that's part of the sorcery that Manly P. Hall was warning about, and it's part of the shadow of the occult, is getting duped by the shadow spirits to do your bidding or help you to manifest your Ferrari or something like that. It's like, no, you have the power within you. The power is within you, and you have to come to a place of purity of soul and heart and love, and then just like Solomon, you unlock, use the key of wisdom, and you unlock the abundance that comes with it. And as long as your heart is pure, then the creator will give you bountifully all that you need. And when you come at it from a pure heart too, you stop caring about the material. And that's another thing too, is like material mindedness is shadow. That's sorcery. That's like, if you're coming into alchemy, I talked about this a few episodes ago. If your pure interest in alchemy is about how to learn how to turn a lead into gold, like physically, so that you can have a bunch of gold, that's not the proper way to approach this practice. It's about making philosophers, like Manly P. Hall said. The penitent man will pass, to use Indiana Jones. And that's, I love that movie, man. The Last Crusade is so symbolic. That whole journey he takes to the Grail, right? The four tests of the Grail are very real, right? There's the spiritual test, there's the knowledge test, there's the faith test, and then there's the Grail test, which is all of the tests in one. Um, and you're going to be tested. And if you're averse to challenges, if you're averse to tests, you're going to fail. You're going to fall, and that's just part of
Well,
what
well here's
comes.
here's here's something that most people wouldn't know, and that is you're supposed to fail a lot because that's the only way you're gonna learn lessons. Because if you aced every test that you got, you wouldn't need anybody else. Like you would literally like you would be the ultimate and you would be everything and no one would need and everyone would need you. So you're supposed to fail a lot because
Yeah,
that's how you become a source of inspiration and hope for other people. And hopefully over you failing those tests and you learning lessons because you failing the same test over and over again, that's insanity, right? Like
Mhm.
don't fail the same test every single time in the same way. Like get a little creative, right? Fail differently. Like don't continuously, well, unless you know that you could have, it was your fault that you failed, then like you didn't meet your own expectations. But what I'm saying is don't just constantly keep repeating mistakes like in the same fashion. Otherwise, you're missing the point, right?
Yeah.
If
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 you
you're not
keep
adjusting
getting
something or you're not getting small wins.
if you keep
Go
getting
ahead.
presented with the same thing over and over, the same type of people, the same type of relationships, the same type of jobs, the same types of challenges over and over again, then you have to take a deep look at yourself and be like, well, maybe I'm the problem and there's something I need to do differently. It's about taking the bird's eye view on your life.
Situation.
You have to come out of the ego and see it from the proper perspective. And to your point about failing, right? I always one of the memes, I love memes, and one of the memes that always sticks with me is that one meme of the miner, right? He's carved his way all the way down this, underground, and he's right on the cusp of breaking through to this whole like cascade or cache of diamonds, right? And you see him like walking away with his pick, dejected, away from the wall but he was right there. All he had to do was break through that last little piece, and he would have found the diamonds he was looking for. But he gives up, right? And there's famous quote of people. A lot of people don't know how close to success they were when they gave up, so don't give up. Don't give up. It's going to be hard. You're going to fall
Yeah.
flat on your face. You're going to fail. You're going to face hardship and pain, and but you have the power within you to achieve what you've been put here to do. If you have a vision within your head, you have the means to do it. And you just have to have the faith and the belief in yourself. Take those steps in the dark. Take the step off the invisible cliff, like Indiana Jones, right? He had to take that leap of faith to get to the Grail. And then he throws the sand on the path behind him. That's what I feel like I'm doing a lot of the time, is like throwing that sand behind me so that people can see. That's what I'm trying to do. That's what we're trying to do with this podcast. It's we're throwing sand on the invisible path, but we can assure you that that invisible path is there if you just take that leap of faith. The fool leaps, right? It's the fool's journey, this hero's journey. You have
It's
to be
not
willing to.
always it's not always easy. It's not always easy.
No, you and I specifically, even, I mean, since we started doing this, it's been about 6 months since we really got together and started hammering out our plan and hammering out our intentions and putting our energy together towards a common purpose and a common goal. We've both been through shit, but we know that with every challenge means we're getting closer, right? And that's where a lot of people give up, is like they right when they're about to break through, they face this big tower moment, to use tarot terminology. They have this big destructive moment where it feels like the whole life is falling apart, and then they go, "Oh, I guess I failed," and then they go back to the fucking to the hamster wheel, and they give up on what they're really trying to push for. And no, that's a sign from the universe that you're close, is that your life is going to face probably different forms of destruction. You're going to lose people that you thought were coming with you on your journey, but that's just a sign that they were not fucking, they're not equipped to go through the glass ceiling with you. It takes a lot to break that glass ceiling and get through. And sometimes you can't drag dead weight up through that glass ceiling. And sometimes you're going to lose people. You're going to lose jobs. Maybe your family is going to
Yeah.
disown you, and because they're not going to understand your path. But you can't lose sight. If you've been given a vision by the creator, which is what our intuition is, what our vision is, you have to see it through. You have to have the courage to see it through. And it takes the courage, man. That's why I have the knight on my shoulder. Um, it's a reminder. This reminds me, right? Is that
Mm.
you got to go in with that sword ready to slay a dragon, and you can't lose courage. You can't lose hope. You can't lose heart.
That's that's
Um,
funny. I
I,
I have a dragon on mine.
the dragon and the dragon slayer. But Just keep hope, guys. Don't let an election or any kind of outside. That's all just a. It's a projection, right? It's a projection of fear onto you. And if you're in a state of fear or hopelessness right now, it's because you put your power in the wrong place. That's how you have to look at it. Your power is in the wrong place. You, every day is a blessing. Every day, wake up with gratitude, and put the fuel in your body that reflects your self love. Stop eating shitty food. Get out and exercise a little bit. Get some sunshine on your face, like Richard Pryor used to say. Get some sunshine on your face. It literally
Yeah.
changes
For sure.
everything. It's all perspective, man. It's all perspective, and our perspectives have been poisoned by things like the media, by the school system, by ideologies. It's literally geared and engineered to keep you down, to keep you in a low state, so that you don't break through your
Oh,
heart into the upper chakras, and to fill your body with light. If thine eye be full of
trust.
light, or if thine eye be single, your whole body shall be full of light.
That's why I say trust the process or trust the plan, right? Because they just like that's how they're just without you thinking about things for yourself, you have to trust the process or trust the plan. It's either that or you gotta think for yourself. There's one or the other.
How bad do you want it, man? How bad do you want it? Because you got to want it more than the shadow doesn't want it for you. Because the shadow is going to try to knock you off that razor's edge one way or the other, and make you stumble and fall. And just don't lose heart. Is that there is light. There is light, even in the darkest shadow. That's often where you find the light. And we're here to try to help you shine our light onto that hidden path, throw the sand on the invisible path, and help guide you as well. And you guys are empowered by our message. Like we said earlier, just share it. There's a lot of people that need this message right now. There's a lot of people that can benefit from the things that we're offering, wisdom wise, and materially, with what Alex has on the way with his whole quantum financial or quantum platform. I almost talked about QFS. Um, but it's an inspiring
Damn,
time.
we weren't supposed to reveal that.
Yeah, it's an inspiring time. And don't let the frazzle get you down, because we're gonna pull
Yeah.
through this. It's always darkest before the dawn, to use a cliche, but it's true.
So on that note, guys, we love you and we hope you all stay safe. And yeah, stay tuned because there's more coming really soon. And as I'm able to share the news and able to put into a proper format so I could share with everyone the progress, it's coming. Just patience, temperance. We're gonna pull the temperance card, and we'll get there. All
And
right.
yeah, we'll be back. Bye.
Peace.